Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of the Doso Knits podcast. My name is Kristen. I am a knitter and military spouse living in Germany with my husband Shane, our dog Sherlock, and our diva cat Ebony. Today is a Sunday here in Germany. It was a little gloomy this morning, but now the sun has decided to come out, so we are going to monopolize on the amount of sun that is coming through, and hopefully the lighting doesn't change too much during this episode. So Doso Knits is my knitting podcast where I talk to you guys about everything that's going on in my little corner of the universe. You can find me on Instagram as Doso Knits and Ravelry also as Doso Knits. All of the show notes for this episode will be linked in the description box down below. It's going to be on my website, dosoknits.com. There you can find all the patterns, all the designers, the yarn I use, the needles I use, everything that you need to know about what I talk about today if you want a quick and easy reference to go back to instead of having to try to go back and search within the video. So I hope all of you guys are doing well. I know the world is a little turbulent and crazy right now, so I'm hoping this episode can give you guys a little bit of solace, maybe a little bit of a break, a distraction, just kind of whatever you need on this day. I'm glad you guys are joining me today. So I have a finished object this week. I also have a few works in progress, nothing new. Well, actually there is one new. And then I have quite a bit of stash enhancement from our weekend trip last week. So if you guys are ready, maybe grab a comfy seat, maybe grab your knitting, a hot beverage of your choice, and let's get started. My first finished object that I have for you guys this week are my banana socks by Spinoodler. Here they are. I do have two. Show you guys them. So in this pattern you use 3 colors. You have your main color, which is my blue. You have a contrast color, which you use for heels, toes, and cuffs, and then the stems of the banana, and then you have your second contrast color, which are your bananas. All of the colors in this pattern is some yarn that I dyed myself. I used my Addy Sock and Wonders. They are 9-inch circulars with one end being a little bit longer. I used 2.5 millimeter needles because when I do color work, I do knit a smidgen tighter, and I normally knit on 2 millimeters. And yeah, this was a test knit. The pattern is now released and ready to go on Ravelry. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with these. If you saw in the first episode, these initially were going to be a gift for Shane, and then they ended up being significantly too small. So now they are a pair of socks for me. I'm actually pretty excited with how they fit. I did have him try them on after I knit probably 2 bananas worth, and then the heel. I had him try them on to make sure that they were going to fit. They didn't fit. They were extremely tight across his foot. So I was able to just knit the length of my foot, which is very tiny compared to his, and now they fit me. So these are my first finished object this week. So that was the only finished object I have to share with you guys this week. I do have a couple of half finished object, also known as I have finished one sock out of a pair of socks. But I will show you those in works in progress, and we can move on to that now. Sorry that works in progress was so short and not a lot to say there. So on to the next one. For works in progress this week, I have a few. My first ones I showed you guys last week. They are my library socks by the Kitchen Sink shop. Here they are. So I've actually finished one of the socks. I'll give you a nice up close. I have finished the first one, and I have started my second one. I'm about where I was last time when I showed you the first one. I have finished the heel turn, and now I have started on the foot of the sock. I am knitting the library socks out of Shannon Meyer Regia yarn. It is the City Streets colorway. So it does this nice little pulling effect, nothing too crazy or substantial. I'm also knitting these on my Addie Sock and Wonders. So they are my 9-inch circulars. These are my go-to for socks, and I'm knitting them on 2.0 millimeter needles. This is a free pattern on Ravelry. It is by the Kitchen Sink Shop. It's a really nice, easy to go pattern. It's essentially you knit 2 rounds and then you have a couple rounds of ribbing and then you just repeat. It's just a 4-round repeat. Really nice, really easy. I knit a lot of this on, we took a weekend trip to Rotordam this past week. And so it's about a 3-hour car ride and I was able to do a lot of knitting on these during that. So there they are. I'm hoping to, I don't know when I plan to get these finished. I hope to get them finished soonish, but I'm not working a whole lot this week and I won't have a lot of car riding, so I don't have as much vanilla sock knitting time. So we will see when they finish, but I know, guys, another pair of socks. We're getting there. We're working on it. We're limiting our socks. I have told myself that I am only allowed 2 pairs of socks on the needles at a time. I have a vanilla sock or something like this that I don't need a pattern for, and then I can have a pattern sock as well. Currently I have 2 on the needles, so we're not doing too bad. We're not overloading ourselves with socks, but we're going to limit it to 2, and then that way I don't bore you guys with the amount of socks I knit, and I force myself to work on other things. But I guess if I only worked on socks, then I wouldn't work on other things, and that wouldn't really help anything, would it? Anyway, library socks. Those are my library socks. My next object that I'm working on is another pair of socks. I figured since we are on the sock train, we might as well stay on it. Like I said, 2 pairs of socks at a time. That was my vanilla socks. These are my pattern socks that I'm working on. So I have to throw them on a blocker really quick. My next work in progress this week is another pair of socks. These are a patterned pair of socks, so they fall within my self-imposed rule of 2 socks, 1 vanilla or simple, and then 1 pattern sock. So this is another test knit. It is a Sprinkler's Day Socks by Hygge Canyon, who is Kim on Ravelry. And so these are those socks. This is a pair of socks that I'm currently test knitting for her. So they are a shorty pattern with a nice little lace detail throughout the socks. So I have finished sock 1 and I have started sock 2. So what's really nice about these is you do the short little cuff and then you do your heel flap and gusset and then you're good to go. Basically you just knit the foot, you'll change the color for the toe, and then it's really simple. It's really nice. I've never done a pair of shorty socks before, so being able to do the cuff and then essentially basically then go right into the heel flap is like, wow, I'm already at the hardest part. So really enjoyed knitting these so far. This is knit out of, this is a homespun house in the Plump Merino Clever Crookshanks colorway. And then the contrast color is a mini that I dyed myself since I'm experimenting a little bit with hand dyeing. I haven't bought a lot of minis. I bought a lot of minis to practice dyeing with because then I can just kind of throw color into the pan and see what happens. And then if I don't necessarily love it, I have it for heels and toes and cuffs for socks, which I am always knitting, as you guys know from the 2 episodes that I've made. I love contrasting heels and toes in socks, so I figured I can't have too many minis. So that is sock 1, and I will show you how far I am on sock 2. I started it yesterday, so I'm not super far. I have finished the cuff, and then I did the couple of rounds for the leg, and now I have started on my heel flap. It is a slip stitch heel flap, which is so nice. And what I do really enjoy about these needles is that I can knit the heel flap on them. Since this needle is so much longer than the other one, there's no way it's going to focus on that. Since this side is a little bit longer, I don't know, I find that it's manageable. You can switch to, sometimes I have switched to magic loop for the heel flap, but I've been trying to do it with just these. So yeah, what was actually very interesting with these socks is normally when I get to the toe, I switch to double pointed needles or magic loop, but I took these on our trip with us to Rotordam and I only brought my 9-inch circulars, and the day we got there, there were no yarn stores still open in the nearby area, and the next day was Sunday, which means basically everything is closed in Europe, and so I had to figure it out. We were actually in our hotel room, and I did not bring a magic loop or double pointed needles, so I was at a little bit of a stuck point. I had to take my 9-inch circulars off of my library socks, and I had the 9-inch circulars on these, and I tried doing the whole knit with 2 circulars, and it worked for most of it until I got down to like the final rows of the decrease, and then it was a little tough, but we managed. We persevered. I don't think my toe suffered too much. This pattern I am currently test knitting. I have already submitted my notes and everything and checked with Kim to make sure that sharing it on the podcast was going to be okay. She said it was. So this pattern is releasing on August 1st, and I will link it down in the description box to my blog where you'll be able to find it and buy it from Kim. It will be available on Ravelry, but she also has a website where you can buy all of her patterns as well if Ravelry is giving you those accessibility issues. I know it's not the best. In my show notes, I do try to link out from Ravelry as much as I can. I try to link to Etsy shops, or if the designers have their own website, I try to source and find that. It is a little difficult sometimes because I store a lot of my information in Ravelry and on a note-taking app that I have, so I do try to link it as much as I can, but a lot of times when looking at the patterns on Ravelry, designers don't link out to other places, or they don't say that they have a website. I do what I can. I try to find them where I can. On my blog, the only time I link to Ravelry is the bullets that say my Ravelry project page, because then from that project page you can then access the pattern or the yarn. So that is how I am making it very clear that I am linking to Ravelry. And then if the pattern or the designer do not have a link on their name, that means that you will have to access it through Ravelry, through my Ravelry project page. So my final work in progress this week is something I showed you guys last time. It is my City Limit sweater by Tanis of Tanis Fiber Arts. I worked on this quite a bit on our car ride to and from Rotordam, and it's really the only thing I've put a lot of time into lately. I don't know, I've just really been enjoying the simplicity of a nice raglan sweater. So I have finished the body of the sweater. You can see my lifeline in there. I finished the body of the sweater, and I have started on the first sleeve. In the pattern, she says to knit to a certain amount. I knit to that amount, and then I had Shane try it on, which is what this lifeline is, and he wanted it just a smidgen longer, so I knit another inch of ribbing before doing my tubular bind off, which looks really nice, I think. I still have all my ends to weave in, but so I have about 3 inches of ribbing at the bottom. I did make a slight modification to the bottom. She initially, in the pattern at the bottom, she says to do a 1 by 1 rib, but there is this 2 purl ridge bump that goes down from the underarms. And so I wanted to keep that within my ribbing. So essentially I just made sure I had a odd number between those 2 purl bumps, and then when I got to it I did purl 2 and then the knit 1 purl 1 inside, and then the other side I did purl 1. And so I'm OCD and I wanted to keep that purl 2 going all the way down. So I made that slight modification. I don't think that really changed anything. The only thing that I had to be cognizant of was when I was doing the tubular bind off to do a 2x2 rib on those stitches for the bind off versus the... Oh man, it's really raining. I don't know if you can hear that. I hope not. Honestly, it'll stop raining in 2 seconds because the sky is still blue. So we'll just wait a second. Yes, so to keep the 2x2 purl ridge down, I just I did an odd number of stitches in between the 2 bumps so I could do knit 1 purl 1 end with a knit, and then I did my purl 2. That looks really annoying, doesn't it? Whoop. Whoop. Ends to weave in. So I just kept it so that my purl 2 ridge was all the way down the bottom because I am OCD and I didn't want it to be like purl 2 and then look different in the ribbing. So I'm OCD. And then I started the sleeve yesterday. I probably would be significantly farther with the sleeve. I definitely would be significantly farther with the sleeve if... Guys, there's a common theme with knitting for Shane. It is make this smaller. So in the pattern, for cuff measurement goes down to, you end at like a 9.5 inch cuff. I measured Shane's cuff, his wrist, and his wrist is about 6.5 inches, and so he said, okay, make it 7. So that means I would need to decrease more than what she said in the pattern. So I did the math for the length of his arm to decrease down to the correct stitch amount. I needed to do 5 extra decreases, and so I redid the math, figured out, okay, I need to decrease slightly faster. This is how much I'll decrease by. So I started knitting it yesterday, and then I got to about, it would be lengthwise like to his elbow. I was like, okay, here, try it on just to make sure before I commit. And he tries it on. He's like, I was like, is it too tight? And he's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't go any smaller. I was like, well, I had to keep decreasing because I'm only at the elbow and I have to make it smaller for your wrist. Well, no, it's a little tight. Do you want me to rip it out? I mean, it's not that tight. I don't want you to have to... Honey, I'm having you try it on because I want it to fit, and I'm only halfway through the sleeve, so I want to know, do you want me to rip it out before I keep going? Yeah, okay, rip it out. So I was at the elbow yesterday. I ripped it back. The nice thing is you do a couple of, you do a little bit of knitting before. Oh, I am losing stitches. Hold on. The nice thing is you have a couple of inches of plain knitting before you start the decreases. So I was able to just rip back to that and not lose. Basically, I kept a few inches of progress versus having to start completely over, which was fine. It's fine. I am knitting my sleeves on, these are my Chiao Gu Twist Minis. And this is the first time I've used these. It is the little blue set. I am absolutely in love. Since I like using the 9-inch circulars, I wanted something like this for knitting sleeves on sweaters because I would prefer doing this than magic loop, because then you can just go round and round and round without having to worry about pulling the cord through as you go. And so even though I had to rip back, I still made a good amount of progress yesterday with the amount of sleeve knitting I have. So I am on the first sleeve, and then I will need to start. I'm on the first sleeve, and then I will start the second sleeve, and then all I have left to do is pick up and knit the collar, and then it'll be good to go. I'm hoping to finish this before he goes to work. I think that's also one of the reasons why I've put so much time into this, is because I have a deadline, and I knit better when I have a deadline. I tend to work a little bit faster and get a little more monogamous as I knit. So I'm pretty excited with how this is going. I feel like it feels really floofy and nice. The one thing I did do with this pattern is I bought significantly more yarn than I needed to. I bought 9 skeins of this yarn. It is Cascade 220 in the non-superwash purple jewel heather color. I bought 9 skeins. I am on this sleeve, and I think I've just bit into the 4th. I'll probably just started the 5th, or about halfway through the 5th, so I will have about 4.5 skeins left of this yarn. So, yeah, I don't know. I must have, when I bought the yarn, I did not measure Shane, so I was guessing, and I guessed that he was roughly the same size, if not larger than me. His chest circumference, as one of my lovely people commented last week. Thank you. That is way smarter than calling a man's. A man has a chest circumference, and women have bust circumferences. So, I assumed that he was larger than I was, and so I bought a lot, which is fine. It's fine. I will probably be making a cardigan for me out of it. I think what I'm thinking of is the still water cardigan. I will put it on the screen. I don't remember who it's by at the moment, but if I have 4.5 skeins left, I feel like I might be able to squeeze a cardigan out, since I won't have to knit the full front by doing that. So I'm excited. I'm glad this is working out. And the yarn, I don't care that I bought too much. If anything, I will destash the extra if I don't want it, but I like the purple, and I feel like I could use it for something else, so I'm not too concerned. Those are all of my works in progress and finished objects for this week. So everything else that I have is stash enhancement. As I mentioned, we did go up to Rotordam this past week. So Rotordam is about 3.5 hours from us. It is in the Netherlands. It's kind of like Amsterdam, but I feel like it's a lot. Rotordam has the big city feel without feeling like a big city. It feels clean. We went because we'd been there before, and we wanted to go back and just have a weekend away, something easy. They have lots of good food, which is one of the main reasons that we travel. But one of the days that when we were up there, we stayed an extra day because you can hop on the train from Rotordam to Amsterdam very, very easily and quickly. It's about a 40-minute train ride from Rotordam to Amsterdam, and then it makes it really easy. We've been to Amsterdam a couple of times. There's nothing there we specifically want to go back and see again, but I wanted to go up this weekend to go to Stephen and Penelopes. Of the 3 times that we have been to Amsterdam, we had never been to Stephen and Penelopes because I wasn't actively knitting at the time, so I never thought about it. But I definitely wanted to go up, since Shane has said that he doesn't want to spend another overnight weekend in Amsterdam, so that was kind of the loophole that I found. Well, we're not spending the night, we're just taking a day trip, and then we'll come back to Rotordam. And he went for it, so it's fine. It's okay, because he gets to eat tonkatsu ramen in Amsterdam. There's a really nice ramen restaurant that we found. It's a nice little hole in the wall. It's called Fao Fao, and it's really good. They have nice classic tonkatsu ramen. So we got on the train that morning, rode up to Amsterdam, kind of walked around for a little while, got tonkatsu ramen, and then we went to Stephen and Penelope, where I bought a little bit of yarn, and then we just headed back to Rotordam, back to the hotel, and then we basically relaxed until dinner. So I was going to show you guys a little bit of what I got. So I have my whole bag of things that I bought. This bag is not from Stephen and Penelope. This bag is from my local yarn shop, which is a Lana Grossa shop. That's mostly what they carry, but it's what I had in my bag, and it worked out well. So Shane gave me, we talked the night before. I was like, you know, going into the store is going to be quite dangerous, right? And he's like, I know. And I was like, and so he gave me a budget, which was fine. And I was like, he was like, well, what do you want to buy? And I was like, well, I want to buy a sweater's worth of something. And he's like, well, how much is a sweater? And I was like, well, I probably need 5 or 6 skeins depending on what it is. And I mean, if it's nicer yarn, it's probably $20 a skein. He was like, so is $150 enough? And I was like, you're gonna let me spend $150 on yarn? Yes, that's plenty. So I walked in with a budget of €150. Where's a euro of yarn, which was absolutely fine. It was way more than I thought he was going to give me. So it was nice to have some parameters of what I'm doing. And I feel like I got a good amount of stuff because I did some budget shopping. So I'm pretty excited. So the first one I got is basically I told Shane that he could pick out a skein of yarn for a hat because I've knit him quite a few hats and it's a nice one skein project, and I'm trying to get rid of a lot of his old acrylic hats and replace them with nice wool, a little bit warmer hats. And so I was like, yeah, you can pick out a skein. You can find something to make a hat out of. It should be fine to do one skein. He was like, okay, done. It literally took him like 2 minutes to find a skein of yarn. So this is what he picked out. And I will say that is showing up quite well on camera. So this is Fire Spates Yarns Vivacious DK, and this is the Deep Forest colorway. So it's nice. It's got like some blues and greens, like a tealy, almost like a browny green as well. And it'll make a really nice hat for him. It is DK. I was looking at some patterns. I think I might do just a simple cabled hat, maybe a ribbed hat. I don't know. I need a one skein DK hat project if anyone has a suggestion. I want something that'll show off the colors and depth of the yarn, but I think since it's nothing too, like, it's not too variegated, I think I can get away with a patterned option. So if anyone knows of a pattern that they think would look nice, let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. What would you make? So that was the first thing that we got from Stephen and Penelope. So the next thing that I got was, Courtney went to Stephen and Penelope a few weeks before me, and she told me about this yarn that they have called Holst yarn. So what's interesting about this yarn is it still has some of the spinning oil or something in it. So in the store, it's still kind of stringy. It's almost kind of rough still. But what you do is you actually have to wash it twice. And then after the second wash, it's then super soft and it really plumps up. And so what's also really nice about this yarn is a 50-gram ball is only €5. So I got 2 sweater quantities worth. I got 2 sets of 8 skeins of the Holst yarn, which makes it about €40 each total. So the first color that I got is this one. Oh, come on. That's probably the closest I'm going to get. So it has some browns, a little bit of, there we go. So it has some browns, some, like, it's almost like tweedy blues, and it's just a really nice color in it. So this is Holst Super Soft. As you can see, it's a 50-gram ball. So it's 50 grams, and that gives you 287 meters and 50 grams. So it is a fingering weight, but I got 8 skeins, so I should have enough to make, I was hoping to make a cardigan. That's why I got so much, because I want to make a, like, past the butt cardigan, almost mid-thigh. So I got 8 skeins of this color. I was thinking with these, I might make the Like a Cloud cardigan by Joji Locatelli. It calls for a fingering weight, and so I want something that is going to be very versatile, and so that's why I kind of thought this nice brown might be something easy, and it'll be good for fall, maybe going into winter, something easy to throw on when it gets a little chilly. I really want more cardigans to just throw on and have. I really enjoy cardigans. I like wearing a lot of simple t-shirts, and so then having cardigans to throw over it, I feel like is very much my style. So that is something that I'm thinking about making with these, and I'm pretty excited. So I did tell you that I bought 2 sweater quantities worth of this yarn, but the second one has kind of a funny story. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy a green. And Stephen and Penelopes is great, but the indoor lighting is there's not a lot of natural lighting, which is kind of the same with my house. I don't have a lot of natural lighting around. I think it's just a product of being in Europe. Or at least in Germany. So I initially gravitated toward a green sweaters quantity worth. So I got, problem is I don't even know if you're going to be able to see this. I got 3 different shades of green. I tried grabbing, I thought I was grabbing all the same, but they were all in the same cubby and they were all in the same stack. So I don't know if it was me. I don't know if they were just mixed together. I don't know. So I essentially ended up with 3 different colors of green. This is the first one. This is dark olive. This is color 2. This is rosemary. And this is color 3. This is moorland. I will try taking a good picture and putting it up so you can see the 3 different colors, but they are seriously so close. Even though they are 3 different colors, I do think I will be able to utilize them. So I got 3 of the moorland, which is the lightest color, 3 of the rosemary, which is kind of the medium color, and then 2 of the dark olive, which is the darkest color. And depending on what I'm going to make, I don't know what I'm going to do. I do not know if I am going to just order more. Since it is so cheap, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal. It's $5 a ball. I could just stock up and then use, like, if I pick the color that I wanted, stock up, and then save the other ones for color work on a different sweater. Or I was thinking I might just fade them down in a sweater. Start the sweater the lightest color, and then as I'm running out or where I'm ready to switch, alternate for a few rounds and then fade into the second color, and then same thing when I'm ready to start the third color, alternate for a few rounds and then start the darkest color. I think since they are so similar, it might really just fade really nicely, and then honestly people might not know other than me because I bought it, and you guys because you are watching this. So I don't know what I'm gonna do necessarily quite yet. I am excited about the yarn. I am just a little bummed that I picked out 3 different colors and didn't notice. I didn't notice until I looked at the receipt and go, wow, there's a lot of line items for things I bought. Oh! Bought 3 different colors of my Holst yarn. My Holst Super Soft. It's okay. So that is the second sweaters quantity. And then the final thing that I got was where I did the math, saw how much I had left, had about $60 left, and so I was debating, do I get a single skein of some hand-dyed, or a single skein and another sweater quantity's worth, or what to do. There were so many options in there. They had Dusty Dimples, they had some Undercover Otter, there's so many options, and the Loft Shelter, which is really what I was looking for, but I couldn't. I want to make a sweater out of it, but that would have blown my whole $150 budget, so I was content getting the 2 cheaper sweater quantities worth. So I was looking around, and I kept coming back to these. I feel very Dunder Knit knitting vicariously with these. which is another podcast if you guys have not seen her. She loves the color brown and golds. And this is literally right up her alley. This is the Fru Valberg in the colorway Caramel. It is their merino swirl base. It is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. Isn't it pretty? Isn't it so pretty? Oh my gosh. Look at how pretty it is. So I kept walking around Stephen and Penelope, and I looked at it, and then I walked past it, and then I came back. And I looked at it, and I came back. And I initially grabbed one, and then I had grabbed another skein of something else. And then I was looking, and I put the other skein back, and I grabbed 2 of these. I have no idea what I'm going to make with this, but I wanted 2 skeins to have a little bit of versatility. I'm very excited. I don't know if I'll make a cowl, maybe a shawl, or a scarf. I am undecided, but it is so squishy and soft and has such a nice depth to it. I am very excited to have this. I'm unsure. I am just excited to have these and to call them mine and to have them in my home. That is everything I got from Stephen and Penelope. I got the 2 sweater quantities, a DK skein for Shane to knit a hat out of, and then those 2 Fru Valbergs to make whatever I want. If you know of any 2 skein projects of fingering weight yarn, let me know. I just want something to show off that yarn, and since it's so pretty, I want something that's almost an accessory that I can wear quite a bit. I really don't wear a lot of shawls, but if you know one that will be nice for the fall, let me know in the comments down below. Well guys, that's all that I have for you this week. I hope that this video provided you a little bit of happiness from my corner of the world to your corner of the world. I hope that everything is going well for you and that you have a nice knitty week. If you liked the video, make sure you hit like down below. If you want to get notified when I post another one, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If not, I will see you guys in a couple weeks, and have a great day. Bye!